I finished, I went into dressmaking. And then when my youngest daughter was 5, I went to Ford's. So I was 36.
We had to pass a test, machining test. Had to sit there and threadle the machine up with the cottons and do a bit of machining. We had to pass that test before we got in.
Some of the conveners were involved in it, and they had assessors going round doing all the valuations of the jobs, not only the women's jobs, sewing machine, but all the jobs. And I challenged the company to bring so many men over and sit on a sewing machine. They did. Couldn't help laughing, you know, because I had to give up.
At that time, we had men night work machinists, and they were getting paid more than us. They were getting the C grade, wasn't they?
Everybody else in the grade B should be able to go and do an over grade B job. Don't worry what plant it's in. But here, they couldn't do it.
And we said, well, we want C grade if the men are getting it. Want equal pay.
So it comes to the point where I just picked the phone up and phoned back to the plant, to the stewardesses there and that, and said, well, that's it. They don't want to know. That's the end of it. And they went out and strike.
Oh, I don't think it was unanimous, but it was more for than against. But you do get a lot of, what are you doing this for? You only come to work for pin money, women.
And the mighty Ford Motor Company, right, now they've got women in dispute, you know, and it's something new. I think it shook them to the core.
You didn't really think that we was going to fetch the whole Ford empire in Britain down to its knees, you might say, but that's what happened eventually.
Now the company are now pressing government and that to get people back to work. Because now you've got Fords not building any cars.
All women in the Ford company was going to get an extra 7p an hour. I was one of those that argued that we came out for C grade.
It was a woman's rate of pay. That got abolished on that dispute. But to be quite honest, we thought we'd done a vastly good job. But the girls didn't think so. As a union, you know, now you've got the status of equal pay. Barbara Castle put it on the books after women's stature and things like that.
After things started up again about equal pay and things like that, that's when you realised that maybe you started something quite big.
I didn't have to do the test. I think it was the union said because the other women hadn't got their grading, you've got to do away with the test because what you're saying is they're not skilled.
When I started, I think I started with about 12 or 13 of us. We went and sat round this big table, and it was Lil Callaghan again, and she said, right, you've got to join this union. And she, you know, she just put you right and said, well, you've got to join this union because you'll need us behind you, and we really did, actually.
The cutters used to cut by hand, like with the scissors and all that, and then they brought the machine in, and they just stood there and the machine cut it.
Taped it in.
They couldn't do that with machines. They still had to have women sitting on a machine and doing her work, but they fetched machines in just to cut, and they used to C grade, just stand there watching a thing going round.
Yeah. If our work built up and that they didn't need so many car seats, they would say to some of the girls, oh, we'd like you to go over to the door panels because they're a bit short-staffed. And the girls would go over there and get stuck in and do the door panels, or in the tank shop they would find you work over there. But when we were very busy and there was quite a few spare machines, they could never say to the men, would you come over and do a bit of machining? Because, you know, the men would never have a clue how to even threadle a needle, I shouldn't think, rather than do machining. And in the end, the women started talking amongst themselves and saying, well, this is not on. We can sort of turn our hands to anything, but the men can't. which seemed very unfair to us. So I think that was the start of us digging our heels in.
Every year you negotiate wages. You could argue certain grading jobs, but the last time didn't get an answer. We sat there 3 hours making the case, me and the 2 stewardesses, and never even got an answer. Everybody else got an answer what made a claim, yes or no, but we never even got an answer.
I think we really shocked the management, because I think they all sat back thinking, the management just sat back and thought, oh, they're going to walk in from there, they're going to walk back from the canteen and they're going to start work. And they were so shocked. We had managers trying to get our work out the back fences to get it down the PTA.
They had trainloads coming from Genk, but the men wouldn't do it down there. Give them their due, they did stand by us.
Yeah, even the postman with the mail, that was when we first went out. And he said, what are you all doing out here? So we said, well, we've come out on strike. Right-o, girls. And he turned around and went. So they never got their letters.
Didn't have any trouble with anybody.
We had the police from Dagenham Police Station come down every night to make sure we were all
they used
right.
to look after you,
Used to come down just to make sure we was right. And they used to come down, didn't they? And you could say if you want, Pam.
They used to bring us a bottle of whiskey down now and again to keep us warm. But it was this one particular policeman. He used to always come down, but they looked after us during the
Pam
night.
was single, and I think this particular policeman fancied her, actually, so...
Well, it's because the women came out and they stayed out, as they said, 9 weeks. And that was holding the pay claim up anyway. So nothing could be settled until that was settled.
We got ACAS involved then. And I've got it in there, all the characteristics and what they'd done, because I went round with them.
Well, they came around and looked at individual work. They came down the plant and, like for samples, when you was given a sample and just told to put a job together. I mean, they didn't always tell you what went here and what went there. And that's, I think, when they came round to see what the men do, what they get C grade for, and what the women did and only got B grade for. They watched women machining, didn't they?
A designer guy come up with a bundle of cloth, bits and pieces, put it down to the sewing machinists, and the company man started running around. And this is what happens. They change the design, comes here, they just put it in front of the machinist, and the machinist never seen it before, opens it up and puts all the bits and pieces together to make a seat.
I think they realised then that the person that was looking at it could no way put it together. I think they then realised, yes, we definitely should get C grade. And as we keep saying, I think we was like a fraction away from getting D grade. But I think if they'd have given us D grade, then it would have proved that they'd have been wrong all them years ago. Women, they're everything you wanted, you really had to fight for.